Well, good morning. We got an inch or two of snow last night into this morning, so I'm going to get to cleaning it up.
So we are gonna cook up some salmon. We're just gonna do it super simple and fry it in a little tallow in a cast iron. Put some rosemary potatoes on the side.
Star up there?
Is that the North Star?
Yeah.
Give a paw. Tell him, give me your paw.
Give me your paw.
All right, I think we're ready.
Star of the star.
So just personally, I like frying our potatoes in grass-fed beef tallow or moose tallow or lard. And I'm gonna add some rosemary to these guys. Oh, that looks great.
Tallow fried salmon and potatoes. Save the skin for Lena.
It's her favorite part.
Oh, it looks. Oh man, that's really good.
So simple and so good. All right, so it is about 8 a.m. We are gonna head to the post office, pick up some packages, then go to town, stock up some fuel and propane.
We got a bunch of snow packed in the wheels here. It's causing a little bit of a vibration in the car. We're gonna have to clean that out when we get to town. Okay, we got everything we needed. We're gonna head home.
A bunny came by. Ah, you were right. That is a bunny. So I brought out the chickens, some of the discard or some of the leftover material from our tea. We got some milky oats, some rose hips, some nettle, and a little alfalfa. I'm gonna throw it in their food. So we really like chickens as a homestead animal. They're very low cost. You can pasteurize them to cut down on feed. You can ferment their feed. That's something we have not experimented with, but want to. But we right now only have a flock of 4 chickens, and that is plenty for us. So our thoughts on that is that we don't want to keep going to the feed store. 4 is good because 4 will lay us 4 eggs a day, and that is just enough for our needs. And this is a temporary coop for them. So we have a pole barn that we are going to be redoing, that we are going to put them in. So for right now, for over the winter, they're going to be in here, and then we'll move them over there. But we got our hens from down in Palmer at Polaris Poultry, and he just gave us a mix of cold hardy breeds. So we have a Brahma, which is the big white one. There's a blue sapphire. I do not know what the 2 other breeds are. I'll have to ask him next time we pick up some more birds, if we do pick up some more birds. But they're just great. We really love them. They're very docile, very friendly, and they are all laying. So regardless of the cold, we do supplement their light. They just have a well-ventilated but draft-free coop with a lot of good bedding, and that keeps them nice and toasty. So today on the homestead, we are restocking the apothecary a little bit, and I thought I would show you guys what herbal preparations we keep on our remote homestead in Alaska after 10+ years of homesteading. So these will be teas, tinctures, and remedies that I keep in our medicine chest to have on hand when we live out here. So I'm gonna go grab my herbs to start infusing my tallow and my coconut oil in my double boiler. I am just gonna melt down my tallow and my coconut oil in these mason jars, throw the herbs that I wanna infuse into the oil in there, cap it, and then put it in a pot with some water. For my 2 salves, one with pain, I'm going to do comfrey, plantain, calendula, lavender, St. John's wort, and I think that's gonna be it, and a little bit of yarrow. And then for my skin soothe salve, I'm gonna do some nice calendula, chamomile, lavender. It's really about what you have on hand to make your salves with, and you get really creative and interchangeable. So these aren't like hard and fast recipes. It's whatever you have and want to use. All right, so I'm gonna start by melting my tallow and my coconut oil in my mason jars. Okay, I have my tallow and my coconut oil in here. I am going to put these in my makeshift double boiler. I'm just gonna heat a pot with water and rest these on top of a canning ring, and that's what I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna get this nice and melted, and then I'm gonna throw my herbs in here. And then we can get going on the syrup while this gets melted. I'm gonna start my elderberry syrup and then also a cough syrup. Same method, different herbs. Did you make something?
No, you can't see it.
I can't see it.
No, it's for Dada.
Aww. While that oil is melting down, I'm gonna get started on my syrups. I like to have a few different syrups on hand, and it's very, very versatile. You can make syrups out of all sorts of herbs, but I do like to have an elderberry syrup on hand to support the immune system, and I'll also throw some cinnamon, ginger, and rose hips in there for some vitamin C content. I also like to do a cough syrup for when we have a really persistent cough going around in the house. I have a nice blend for that. And then I'm also going to do a carminative syrup for digestive upset, stomach troubles, and that sort of thing. All 3 are the same method. You're gonna boil the herbs with water, strain it out, and then mix 1-to-1 equal parts of honey. And then if you wanna put these on the shelf or extend your shelf life, you can then add vodka or brandy. But the first step for any syrup, and like with my elderberry syrup, is to mix 2 cups of elderberries with some water and get it simmering. I'm going to start with 2 cups of elderberry and 4 cups of water. All right, I'm gonna peel this ginger quick. I'm gonna add a big hunk of it because I like ginger. It makes the syrup nice and warming and carminative, and it's good for your digestive upset if there is any digestive upset. All right, I got my elderberries, my ginger, my rose hips, my cinnamon sticks in there. I'm gonna throw the water in now. So beautiful. I love the cinnamon and the ginger and the elderberry, and the rose hips are a great touch for some vitamin C, and we just have a ton of them growing wild, and they're very easy to forage, so I always love to throw those in there. All right, so for the cough syrup, I'm gonna do a simple, effective syrup. We're gonna do thyme, angelica, so we're gonna do thyme, angelica, and some marshmallow root, some wild cherry bark. It would be great in here if you have that too. Here we go. I'm gonna make a smaller batch of this, and I have some fresh thyme that I'm gonna use. I'm just gonna rip it up and throw it in the pot and just kind of eyeball the rest of the herbs. Maybe do half as much of the elderberry, maybe like 2 cups of water. And then you generally want to simmer your syrups very gentle until they're about reduced by half, and then add 1 to 1 honey. So we have some angelica root here, which I really like the smell of. Warming and stimulating, and it's also brimming with antioxidants and vitamins. So throw a little bit of that in there. And then I'm gonna do a little marshmallow root. It's nice and mucilaginous and very helpful for a cough. And just the same with the elderberry syrup. I'm just gonna simmer this very gently, then strain it out, mix it with honey and alcohol. I think I'm also gonna actually add a little sage in here. Already feels mucilaginous from that marshmallow. Marshmallow is so crazy. Oh yeah, that's so beautiful. So I think now that these are nice and melted, I'm gonna add my herbs in them and get the salves infusing. You can do your infusions a couple different ways. There's the old folk method, which takes a little bit longer, and it literally is just putting your herbs in a glass jar and popping it on a sunny warm windowsill and letting it infuse 4 to 6 weeks. I'm gonna do the quicker heat method, and I'm gonna put this in my double boiler anywhere from 1 to 5 to even 24 or more hours, and then I'm gonna strain it out. Ideally, this would not go above or out of the range of about 100 to 140, depending on what herbs you're infusing, but I am just gonna simmer this as gently as I can. Another good way to infuse your oil, if you have a wood stove, is just to pop it on the mantle right near the wood stove and keep it warm like that. So for my pain salves, I am just gonna eyeball these herbs in here. And I'm gonna start with my St. John's wort. Ideally this would be fresh, but I only have dried. Plantain.
Help us look. Swoosh. Yeah.
Some comfrey, also known as knit bone. If you do apply comfrey externally, always make sure to get anything out of the wound because it does close up those wounds really fast. I'll do a little bit of lavender. And then some of our yarrow. Yarrow is a great one to stop bleeding or to put on wounds. And it's very easily identifiable. It grows everywhere. Last but not least, I'm going to do a little calendula. All right, so this is ready to go into the double boiler. For this next one, just a skin soothe salve, I'm going to do lavender and chamomile and a little bit of calendula. All right, this one's ready to go in. There we go. So while my syrups are still boiling away and my oils are infusing, I'm gonna throw together a fire cider. A fire cider is really just an infused vinegar. You can make them lots of different ways. They call it fire cider because it's generally made with really hot stimulating ingredients like hot peppers and cayenne, and it's made with apple cider vinegar. So you could change that recipe up all sorts of ways. I'm gonna do a pretty basic one with some garlic, ginger, herbs. some turmeric root, things like that. And all you're gonna do is let this sit for about a month in your cabinet with all these herbs and botanicals in it, then strain it out, mix it with honey to your taste or to your like, and that's it. And you can take a shot of it when you feel under the weather. It also makes a really good salad dressing too, and a dressing for meat. And I'm gonna put a piece of parchment in between the vinegar and the lid to prevent any sort of reaction. Ideally, I would have had a few more, you know, onions and or garlic or jalapeno to fill it up a little bit, but this will be a beautiful fire cider. I'm gonna go pop this on the shelf and then I'm gonna strain my syrups. So I'm gonna strain my elderberry now. Smells really good. Though we do forage and grow a majority of our herbs, so the lemon balm, the skullcap, the rose hips, all that sort of stuff, we do buy a little bit. So I will buy in bulk things like ginger root or milky oats, but I do tend to stay with things in our area that we can forage ourselves. Put anise in there, cloves, warming herbs. I like angelica sometimes in here too. So I am gonna take my strained elderberry juice and put it in a mason jar so I know exactly how many cups I have, and then I'm gonna add that many cups in honey and then mix it up very well. And I'm also gonna throw some brandy in there to help preserve it. We typically get our honey either from local Alaskan apiaries, but nobody I could find had any bulk honey for sale currently, so we ordered this to the post office. But next, I'm gonna strain our cough syrup out. There's lots of different ways you could make this and things you can add and take out. That's the beauty of herbs. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the cough syrup. I'm gonna add a 1-to-1 ratio of honey to the liquid I have left and then add a dash of brandy in there to help stabilize it.
Interesting smell.
It is, that's angelica. I really like angelica. So we are gonna make a couple infused honeys. We do one for sleep with lavender and chamomile, and then we do one, I call it a winter honey. It's very warming with rose hips, cinnamon, and ginger. And it's super easy. I am gonna do our sleep honey. This is great in tea before bed. And I'm gonna add a little bit of lavender, a little bit of chamomile. And just like when you make a fermented garlic honey, I put a layer of honey on the bottom of the jar, my herbs, and then top it with more honey. So beautiful. One thing we like to do before bed is to have a cup of skullcap tea, and then we'll put some of the sleep honey in it with the chamomile and lavender. Makes for a really restful night. Skullcap, despite the ghoulish name, is one of those herbs that we do keep and we grow. It's really good for your nervous system. It's a nervous system tonic. It's actually part of the mint family, and it's a perennial, so it comes back year after year, but it's really good for pain as well. And we are going to be making one of those tinctures. So next, I'm gonna mix up some of our favorite tea blends. We have one that we drink almost daily. We have one when we feel under the weather, an immune support tea. We also do a fever tea as well as a sleep tea, something to help you go to bed. So for our daily tea, one of the big things that we really like is milky oats. They're highly nourishing, revitalizing, and restorative. They're great for people with really busy schedules, pregnant and nursing mothers, growing babies, stressed out individuals. Really, really good medicine, and it builds energy gradually and stabilizes gradually as well. So it's a good one for daily use. Oats are also rich in the B complex and vitamins A, D, K, and E. They are also really good for mental and physical fatigue. They're just a wonderful ally to kind of keep on hand. In Maine, when we would plant oats, we would just kind of dig up the soil or till up the soil, then throw them, and then just lightly cover them, and they grew really beautifully. Next, we have nettle. We wild harvest our nettle every year. We love it as food and medicine. We do a really good nettle pesto. We do soups, omelets, just stir fry. Bunch of different ways to use nettle. But it's mineral rich, so it's a very, very good nutrient dense tonic. And then we do rose hips. 1, because they're readily available to us to forage, and 2, because they are also nutrient rich and delicious in a tea. So when we go to use this, now it'll be nice and mixed up. I'm just gonna put a cap on this and put this on our shelf, and I will take about a good 2 to 3 heaping tablespoons per 8 ounces of water. And a good way to make a nice strong tea is to use loose leaf tea, put your herbs in a mason jar, then cover it with boiling water, cap it, and then let it steep. And for this tea, we let it steep a good 15 to 20 minutes before we eat it, or before we drink it. Next is our fever tea. I like to pre-mix this in case for some reason I'm not home and Dennis has to give it to Lena if she gets a fever. Same with this. I take a good heaping 2 tablespoons to 8 ounces of boiling water and steep it. So in this fever tea, I mix equal parts chamomile, some peppermint, also cooling, a little bit of catnip, some lemon balm, and some elderflower. And that is the fever tea. For the sleep tea, I like to use skullcap, chamomile, lemon balm, and a little bit of lavender. So I like skullcap. It's a beautiful herb. You'll find it in moist, shady areas generally when you are wild harvesting, though we do grow it in the garden. They use it a lot as a pain reliever, but it is an effective and reliable tension reliever, so that is why we put it in our sleep tea. Too much of it, so excessive use alone can actually make you a little jittery, so you want to be sure to go up in your dose, start low and go slow. And then we have lemon balm, another good relaxing tea. Also good for stomach issues and settling a stomach. Chamomile, a nice, reliable, gentle, relaxing herb. Really good for little ones. And then some good old lavender, just a little bit, to help promote a really restful sleep. It's pretty. Well, it is getting pretty late. We have to run to the spring still and get ready to start making dinner. I am gonna actually let these infused oils go overnight. I'm gonna pop them by the wood stove, let them get super, super infused. And then tomorrow we are gonna finish up with this by making some tinctures and also one more syrup. I'm gonna do my digestive syrup or my syrup for stomach upsets and that sort of thing. So we're gonna label these all up, load into the car, head on down to the spring before it gets too dark.
So we get a lot of questions about this creek or this spring and if the water is safe to drink or not. And to answer that question, most likely yes, though we do boil it or sterilize it just to be safe. Why take the risk? But a lot of people just come here, they fill up their water bottles and they drink straight from the creek with no problems. But things happen, animals die upstream, etc., etc. So we do it just to be safe, but you probably don't have to. You could probably just drink it straight. It's a little cool tonight. It's about -9 or so, but I figured we had a little downtime in the house. I'd take the opportunity to come out and work on some firewood. You got to keep moving here in the winter. You don't just want to sit down.
There.
Oh, you're going, Tucker? Is it cold out?
So if you are ever camping or somewhere that you are on the go and want to make a hot cocoa, we just like to throw it in a mason jar with some raw cacao, a little bit of honey or maple syrup, maybe some vanilla extract or peppermint extract, a little pinch of salt, and that is a really good hot chocolate. And we're actually going to use water because we do not have any milk. I'm actually going to put a little bit of cinnamon, ginger, and cayenne in this one. That's it. Hot chocolate. Lena, you want some hot chocolate? Sure.
Thank you. That's great though.
Okay, so we are picking up where we left off yesterday, getting our Herbal Apothecary stocked up a little bit on the homestead. My oils infused all through the night. I popped them by the wood stove to stay nice and warm. I'm gonna start on one more syrup, so a syrup for digestive upsets and vomiting, that sort of thing. And then I'm gonna finish off with a couple of tinctures, one more tea blend, and then making my salves into some shelf-stable preparations. That I like to put in is some fresh ginger root. Ginger is a great tonic for your whole digestive system. It helps stimulate digestive juices and reduce nausea. And I will just peel it and then throw it in, chopped up in big pieces. I'm also going to put a little peppermint in there. Peppermint is great for soothing the stomach and relieving spasms and nausea. Any sort of digestive upsets, peppermint really shines. I'm going to put some chamomile in here. Chamomile is antispasmodic, helps relieve intestinal cramping. It settles the stomach and it's very, very gentle. Last but not least, I'm going to add a few orange peels and some lemon balm. So lemon balm is soothing and calming even to the digestive system. I'm just going to cook these on low. Sometimes you can even shut it off and just let it steep like you would a tea. Sometimes for my carminative syrup or my digestive syrup, I like to freeze them because I feel that when you are really getting sick with something, sometimes just a little ice will be better than an actual room temperature syrup. Okay, so I'm going to put these back on the shelf, and next I'm going to make some tinctures. So tinctures are very, very easy. They're a great start to making medicine. If you are new to making medicine, you are simply going to fill up a jar about 3/4 of the way full and top it with your chosen solvent, which could be anything you would like. Most often you'll see vodka or brandy. I'm going to use brandy today. You will also see glycerin too if you're opposed to alcohol. We are going to do a skullcap tincture. Skullcap is a supreme nervous system tonic. It's great for nourishing your nervous system. It's wonderful for those people with really busy lives or if you're really tense. It's also very good at aiding in a restorative deep sleep. Another thing you'll see skullcap used for is pain or pain relief, and that is another good use for it. You'll usually find this growing wild in moist, shady areas. If you do grow it in your garden, it likes moist, well-fertilized, shady areas. Lemon balm is soothing and calming and cooling. It's good for the digestive system. It also helps lower fever. It's also a good one to help relieve spasms or cramps in the stomach. That's it. They are just gonna sit on the shelf about 4 to 6 weeks. I'm gonna shake them every now and again, and then I will strain them and put them in my dropper bottles. All right, so my carminative syrup has been going about half an hour. I shut it off, I let it steep a little bit, and it's ready to be strained out. All right, now I'm going to add 1:1 honey. So I have about a little more, maybe 3/4 cup here. I'm going to add 3/4 cup honey. Perfect amount. All right, these are done. They look like beautiful medicine. It's going to be wonderful if any of us get any digestive upsets. I'm going to go ahead and label and date these. I'm gonna whip up a quick immune supporting tea to have on hand. We like to do echinacea, elderflower, rose hips, and some ginger. The ginger is nice and warming and carminative. The rose hips have beautiful amounts of vitamin C and bioflavonoids in them, and we forage them very easily here. Echinacea, traditionally used to support your immune system. It's great for when you have cold and flu. And then elderflower, also good immune support, and it also helps lower fevers. So we are going to do one more infused honey, this time a fermented garlic honey. Garlic honey is great immune support. We like it when we feel like we're coming down with something like a cold or a flu. It's also really good for stomach upsets, food poisoning, that sort of thing. It's also really yummy if you want to eat it just on salads or marinating meats too. So we use a lot of garlic honey, and I'm going to make a new batch. So the method for garlic honey is very, very simple. You're just going to take a jar, put a thin coat of honey on the bottom, your garlic cloves, and then top it with honey. Flip it around, make sure the garlic cloves are all submerged and coated in honey, and then you're just going to let that sit and ferment however long you'd like. I just let mine go. I've had garlic honeys, you know, for months and months and months and even years. And you're just going to take a teaspoon, or you can eat a whole clove. There we go, all done, ready to get fermenting. So first step for my salves, now that that oil is nice and infused, I'm going to strain that out very well with a cheesecloth, put them in some new clean mason jars, add my beeswax, and then I'm going to put it back in the double boiler, melt that down really good, mix it all around with the beeswax, and then I'm going to put them in my salve tins and label them. So I'm going to start with my bumps and brews, or my pain relieving salve, which has plantain, comfrey, yarrow, some calendula, and some St. John's wort. I really like plantain because it's an old time healing herb. It's great for cuts and scrapes and burns and that sort of thing. It's nice and cooling and skin soothing. The comfrey is traditionally used for bone breaks and fractures. St. John's wort is an antispasmodic. It's a great pain reliever, especially for nerve pain like sciatica. It's wonderful for sore muscles and easing tension. Internally, it's commonly used to treat depression and seasonal affective disorder, and it's been a long time associated with warriors or people coming back from war. Yarrow is astringent, it's anti-inflammatory, it's great for stopping bleeding. Then we have calendula, which is soothing to itches and irritations and wounds and burns and scrapes and all that sort of stuff. It's very versatile. Lavender, good old lavender, is an antispasmodic, and it relieves soreness and cramping. Also really good for burns. This smells really good. This smells very sweet. It does smell floral-like because of the lavender and the chamomile, but it almost smells sugary.
Like a baked good.
Like a baked good almost. It actually is really wonderful. Alright, so generally for salve recipes, you will see about 1 ounce of beeswax per 4 ounces of infused oil. If you want a softer salve, use less beeswax. If you want a harder, firmer salve, use more. One good way to test is while you're melting that oil and that beeswax together, dip a spoon in it and then pop it in the freezer. When that hardens, you'll see what the consistency is, and you can make alterations then at that point instead of getting them in your salve tins and then figuring out if they're too soft or too hard. If you are going to add essential oils, now is when you would do that. But I tend to skip the essential oils in my salves, like whole plant infusions. Let's do the pain salve first. It's the Skin Soothe. These are beautiful salves. I'm really happy with these. They smell wonderful. All right, these are all done. They are ready to just cool off. I'm just gonna let them be, and they will cool and harden. If you want more of a preservative for your salves, you can always do vitamin E or rosemary extract, but I just keep them in a cool, dark cabinet and they stay pretty well. All right, so that's a wrap. I would say it was a successful day restocking the Homestead Apothecary with our most used remedies.
So one of the more boring realities about a homestead up here is that you're constantly just doing firewood. It's one of the biggest chores. It's not the most fun chore in the world. It's the most important because you definitely want to stay warm up here. I tend to like to do it more in the winter than in the summer for the simple reason you can skid a lot of the wood. And the other reason is that in the summer here, it's a very short window and you're kind of just go, go, go from salmon to berries to hunting to any sort of building projects that you want to get done. You really should try to get them done in the summer. It's a lot harder in the winter when the ground's frozen. So I'm going to go ahead today and work on a little firewood. I'll make a little fire outside and try to keep warm while I do it. Perfect. Well, there we have it. I'm going to call it for the night. That's about a week to a week and a half's worth of wood. It took me about an hour, hour and a half to do. Yeah, some of that slab wood had a lot of frozen dirt on it, and when you have wood like that, it really dulls the saw down. So I guess tomorrow morning I will have to sharpen it. But yeah, I'm going to go help make dinner, I think.
So we are gonna cook some dinner outside on the fire. We're gonna do some blueberry birch syrup sausages. I'm gonna whip up some sourdough flatbreads. We're gonna do a little Swiss cheese and blueberry jam on it. I'm also gonna start this week's sourdough. We are gonna do a chocolate rye sourdough this week, so we're gonna see how that comes out. I fed this starter maybe 5 or so hours ago. It's nice and doubled. I'm gonna stick to my usual sourdough recipe, which is the starter, a good half a cup to a cup of starter, a couple cups of water. Mix this water really good with this starter, and then I'm gonna throw in some salt and also a little bit of honey and molasses. So I generally do about 4 cups of all-purpose flour in my regular sourdough. I'm gonna do about 3 cups of all-purpose and then a cup of rye. And then I'm gonna add a good bit of cocoa or raw cacao, maybe like a 1/4 cup. Okay, that is gonna sit for about an hour and a half, and then I will do my first stretch and fold. Sourdough flatbread is really easy. I just took some discard and I mix it with a little water, some salt, and just enough flour to get it so I can roll it out and form the flatbread. Then I just fry it in some tallow. It's delicious with honey and butter. I might actually throw a little rosemary in here. right, first one's done.
Yeah.
They smell a little burnt, but they look delicious. That's right. Best thing I ate all day, really.
What do you think of the sausage, Lena? Good?
And the last piece.
Yeah.
Like that? Nice. Then we can click them together, kind of like that. Nice. Oh, no, we got it. These things are up. Well, Daddy made a cool ramp though, didn't he?
All right, little helper, you want to make me some cinnamon honey butter?
Yeah, honey butter.
All right. You put it right in that. Yep. Put it right in there. Good one.
Yeah, can I do the cinnamon?
You can do the cinnamon.
A little one pinch.
You can do a couple pinches. What next?
Honey!
Honey. Mix this all up. Okay.
Ah!
Yeah.
Can I have that on my bread too?
You can.
It looks chocolatey inside.
It does.
All over.
Sample it.
Yeah, you get to sample it.
It's like straight up dessert.
Is it? I didn't think it was going to be super sweet. I put a little honey and molasses in the bread itself.
Is there cinnamon in this?
Yes, cinnamon in the butter.
That's great. It's like a better version of cinnamon raisin bread.
Yum.
This is the best rye bread I've ever had. I don't even like rye bread.
Yeah.